Hi everybody, I'm Codie Lane, and I'm sure most of you know me already by now. I'm a junior at Berlin Senior High School, but I'm also a Boy Scout. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about fishing. While fishing, it's always optimal to keep a safe distance from one another. You should always go fishing with a friend. So when you're fishing, try to stay at least 10 to 12, maybe even 15 feet apart from each other, depending on how big your pole is and what kind of fishing you're doing. And obviously, you have to be aware of where you are because you don't want to cast and get your line stuck in a tree and lose your favorite lure. And always remember to clean up after yourself. Well, whether it's you and your friends, just if you see any litter in general, always clean it up because that's not good for nature. It's not being a good sportsman. You always have to try to be a good sportsman while you're fishing. Whether that means picking up someone else's trash or cleaning up by yourself. Just don't litter. And also, while you're fishing, you have to follow the law. You can't just go out and catch as many fish as you want. Check the DEC's website and always make sure you're doing everything by the book because it's always changing. You always have to keep up with it, and you always have to have a fishing license. And you can get your fishing license at Walmart, your town hall. You just have to follow the law. As you can tell, it's a really beautiful day outside. And when you're fishing, you always have to be mindful of the weather. You don't want to go fishing if it's going to be raining, if it's going to be cold, and you always have to dress appropriately. It's okay to go fishing when it's cold and raining. It's not optimal, but if you do, you always have to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. Or if you're going out and it's a sunny day and the weather's going to change, you always have to be prepared for that. You can't just expect the weather to be perfect every day. So always make sure if it's going to be cold, bring a jacket and be mindful of the weather. Now, for different kinds of fishing and for different sized people, you might need different size rods. Like this rod, it's optimal for me because it's almost the same height as me. It might be a little bit taller. It's around the same size, so it's decently easy for me to use. If you're a shorter person, you might need a shorter pole. If you're a taller person, you might need a taller pole. Also, if you're fishing for different things or doing different kinds of fishing, you're going to need different poles. Like for fly fishing, you're going to need a fly fishing pole, or if you're deep sea fishing, you're going to need a big heavy duty pole to reel in those big fish. But if this is just for bass or for trout or sunfish, it's a good pole to use. For different kinds of fishing, you're going to need different lures and hooks and baits and all that kind of stuff as well. And you're not just going to need different baits and hooks and stuff. You're going to need tools so you can properly, if you do catch the fish, take the hook out of the fish without hurting the fish. Because that's very important. You want to treat the wildlife with respect. You don't want to catch a fish and just toss it back. You want to gently release it back into the water. And like, let's say you're trying to catch a bass. You want to use like a worm and maybe a bobber. Or if you're trying to catch a trout, you want to use like a fast, flashy lure. So to bait a hook, you just take a hook, and in this case, I used a bigger hook so you can see better. And in this case, to bait it, I'm using a rubber cricket, because to catch bass, you could use like a cricket or a worm or just something like that, and you just put it on the hook and make sure it's secure and it's not going to go anywhere. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about boating. Now that you've learned some of the basics of fishing from shore, from a dock, I'm going to talk a little bit about boating. So if you're boating, you still have to follow some of the same rules. Like you have to have your fishing license if you're going to fish from the boat, and you have to have a boating license, obviously, if you're going to be driving a boat. It's different if you're kayaking. You don't need a license to kayak or rowboat, but if you're going to be driving a motorboat, you have to have a license for that. And you have to follow all the laws, DEC laws and the state laws. You have to make sure, like right now we're at the Dunham Reservoir. You're not allowed to have a motorboat in here, but you can kayak. So you have to be sure of where you are and the laws there. And you always have to have your fishing license. You have to be mindful of the weather also, because you don't want to go boating on a rainy day and it can just ruin your fishing trip. And make sure if you're going boating to always go with somebody and always wear a life jacket. Those are two very important things. You don't want anything to happen to yourself. Also, if you're fishing from a boat, you have to be mindful of the shore. You have to be mindful where your boat is. You don't want to run it aground, and you also have to be mindful of the other fishermen in the area. You don't want to come too close to shore, scare all the fish away, and make it so they can't fish either. Thanks for watching, everyone. Always be sure to follow the fishing laws and be safe. if you want to find out more about the fishing laws, you can go to the DEC website, or you can talk to the Boy Scout troop that I'm in, Troop 222, Grafton, New York. We're always... Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to always be safe and follow the laws. If you have any questions about the laws, you can go to DEC's website and look up all the current and changing laws. And if you have any more questions, you can hit up Troop 222, Grafton, New York. We're always looking for new members. So, thanks for watching, everyone.